Thought I'd make a video today on something that has, like so often happens, has come up recently a couple of times for a couple of reasons. First of all, because people have asked me. And of all places, the Nextdoor app, thread came up and I made a comment on there and recommended something. And then by coincidence, something else happened, and then someone else asked me, and I said, "Wow, this is interesting. This has happened in 2 weeks. This has happened 3 times, and maybe this is a piece of information that I should make a little video about." What is it about? Well, it all started. Technically, it all started this time around because somebody posted a thread in my neighborhood about stalking. Some guy stalking a woman and her daughter pretty late at night at a Target. And because Miami is such a target for human trafficking, and people worry. And you all know me. What my first reaction was, my first piece of advice to her and her husband was, get a CCW. Buy a gun, learn how to use it, carry it. You don't have to go pointing guns at people every time you think they're following you, but you're going to feel a hell of a lot safer if someone's following you, even if you do everything else, which you're supposed to do. Notify security, call the police, get license plates, be a good observer, get a good description of the guy, be situationally aware, don't back yourself into a corner. But if anything happens where now you find yourself in that backed into a corner situation, I don't know about you, but I prefer to be backed into a corner with a fully loaded Glock than with just these, right? So, as usual, I made the regular caveats and disclaimers about, listen, I have my opinions on gun control and you have yours, and I'm not going to get into it. But you have that option here in Miami, so avail yourself, get some training. It's not that difficult to do. And I got the regular flood of people who, the husband and wife who made the post were very grateful and asked me to recommend somebody, and I recommended somebody that a lot of you know that I've done most of my training with, a couple of guys actually, one up in Orlando, one down here in Miami, a couple of other guys that float around and basically made them aware that around the country there's other good resources, but they're here in South Florida, so of course I told them to go to the go-to guy, all right? And other people recommended other sources of training and, ranges. I don't necessarily agree with, go to the shooting range. When you want to learn to drive a car or an 18-wheeler, you don't just buy an 18-wheeler and go smacking around trying to figure it out, right? You get somebody to teach you, right? So that's always a good approach. But yeah, they were real cool about it. I sent them that information. But I also got the whole bunch of, I don't want to carry a gun. I think it's unsafe. I couldn't shoot anybody, which is bullshit, because if your life or your child's life is in danger, believe me, I don't care how squeamish you are. If you find yourself in a situation where your child is about to be abducted or hurt, you're going to light somebody up and you're going to empty the magazine and ask for another, okay? So I find that hard to believe that you're not. Maybe it's not in your nature and you won't do it as easily as some people. But you will. But still in all, if you're a young woman and you don't want to carry a gun, or you have a hard time carrying a gun, or you haven't gotten your head around it yet, I get all these questions about self-defense. And yeah, there's self-defense systems and there's techniques that are better than others. Some of the self-defense techniques are very effective, mostly in a street situation, one-on-one, in some of these silly altercations that happen where you need to get control of somebody because they're just drunk or making trouble or whatever. Jiu-jitsu is great, because if you know what you're doing and somebody gets physical with you, and you can wrap them up and get them on the ground, and jiu-jitsu well, they're done. They're done. They're either going to be unconscious from a choke, or they're going to have broken arms or ankles or limbs, because it's a very effective technique. Unfortunately, in more serious crime situations, multiple attackers, etc., can't really afford to be rolling around on the ground with one guy, all right? And if you're a good striker and you happen to be accosted by people who don't know what the hell they're doing, yeah, pretty much you can knock 2, 3 guys out before they know what happened, right? If you know how to throw a punch, and they don't, right? But then you're not always going to get that lucky. You're going to, at some point, especially a woman, okay, no matter how well trained she is, she's going to come up against somebody. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. I'm not trying to be sexist here, so save it. I don't want to hear it, okay? I'm just saying, because women are normally physically less strong, have less muscle, less bone mass, just are at a natural physical disadvantage, it is more likely that you could be encountered by somebody who is really determined to do, violence, and wants to kidnap you or wants to abduct you or whatever. And, I could recommend a lot of martial arts techniques and a lot of good instructors, but the evening factor isn't that great, You could be a tremendous mixed martial artist, and if you're 5'4", in great shape and a great fighter, and you come up with a guy who's 6'2", 290 pounds, and has done nothing but lift weights in prison for the last 5 years, okay, and thinks nothing of hurting people, he's not going to come at you slapping you, he's going to come at you hitting you and grabbing you, right? The equalization factor of being a trained fighter isn't there, A gun equalizes that up real quick. A gun and a knowledge of how to use it equalizes that up real quick. But when that's not an option, people ask me about all kinds of other things, and invariably what comes up is a knife. Okay, well, yeah, there's a lot of good knives, and I'm not going to make a knife video, but I will show you one thing that I think is an indispensable tool for that specific scenario, that's easy to get, easy to hide, totally legal, with a little bit of training, terribly lethal and effective, and not like a taser where it has a powerful effect, but then when you let it go, it's like it's over and the guy's just more pissed off. No, it has a permanent and lethal effect if you know how to use it. And it's very difficult to wrestle away from you. It's very easy to conceal, okay? What are we talking about? We're talking about these, okay? We're talking about push daggers, all right? This is a cold steel Urban Pal, all right? So a lot of people make them. I like cold steel. I like Gerbers. A lot of people make very good ones of these. But this little thing is easy to hide, okay? It's that big. But notice when I have it in my hand, how hard is it to get this out of my hand, okay? It's not like I have a big thing sticking out of my hand. No. I've got this T-handle in my hand between my 2 middle fingers, or my index and my middle finger, right? And I can pull it out very quick, and this thing is razor sharp. This particular one is serrated on one end and smooth edge on the other. This thing can do a lot of damage. And it can do a lot of damage, and you can generally get to it and do a lot of damage, even if you're all wrapped up. I mean, you can get to it, and before the guy knows it, he's cut up and stabbed in several places. And the most effective way to use this is to cut tendons, arteries, all right? Cut where the loss of blood is going to be catastrophic. It's going to, like I said, permanent damage, not just, oh, you cut me, now I'm pissed off. Yeah, you're pissed off, but in 2 seconds, 30 seconds, you're going to bleed to death. So go ahead and be pissed off, but go do it somewhere else, because you're not running after me after I cut, the artery in your arm, or your femoral artery, or your carotid artery. you're not going to come running after me. You're going to die, okay? And it's easy to get to. It's easy to conceal. In the last ditch situation, this little thing is devastating, okay? Now, you don't want to get into a knife fight with this. This is not what this is about. This is about a last ditch effort tool when you're being overcome, when you're at that point where you're about to be choked out, somebody got his hand over their mouth, they're dragging you into a van, guy's about to rape you, okay? This is going to ruin his day and change the outcome, okay? And it's very easy to carry, okay? It comes with this little plastic sheath that it slides into. And it's designed, really, to be carried around your head on a chain under your shirt, right? Where, oh, yeah, you can reach under your shirt, boom, it's out, boom. You know, in a heartbeat, you can, you know, just like you're going to go scratch a guy, except this time, you're going to scratch him right in the throat with this 2.5-inch blade that's razor sharp and hardened steel, and you're going to slice his artery open. And the loss of blood is going to be devastating very quickly, all right? So this is one way to carry, right? And it's good, except that for me, it tends to be, you know, under the shirt, in the Northeast, in cold weather places, you've got a lot of clothing on, right? And it's hanging upside down. I mean, the holster is good. It has good retention. It snaps in, and it doesn't fall out that easily. But it's hanging upside down. So what do? Here's what I do. I take a clip that they make for people who make Kydex holsters for guns. I buy these on eBay. I make an additional 4 holes in the Kydex sheath, and I fasten it to this thing with 2 Lewis screws. I don't know if you know what a Lewis screw is, but it's a little screw with a little sheath. It's got a flat head on one and a Phillips head on the other, and it's got, the nut has a little tube, and the screw goes into the tube, and there's a little rubber grommet, right? And you drill a hole and you put it in, and it's great for fastening stuff like this, right? So I fasten it to this thing, okay? So it ends up looking like this. Fasten it to this with 2 Lewis screws. You can see the big headed screws there, right? Now I can put it on my belt, right? If I put it on my belt, it's right here, right? Problem with putting on your belt sometimes is that somebody gets you when you're not noticing. They're going to search you for weapons, and they're going to find it, okay? But you can put it inside the pants, all right? Like most people carry their guns, in the appendix, in the back, anywhere where you can reach it. With this thing, you could put it on a purse strap. You could put it inside a purse, because this thing hooks under a belt. You see this clamp hooks under a belt, so that when you pull this, it holds the holster, all right? It holds the sheath. So you're not going to get the whole sheath and all, okay? So you can put it in a purse, clip it somewhere. You can clip it on a belt. If you've got duty gear on, or a backpack or whatever, or any straps on, you could, you know, if you've got a pack, you could clip it on your strap, right? You can do all kinds of things with it. I mean, theoretically, if you wanted to sew a strap into your hat, you can keep it inside your hat, right? Now, there are a million ways to carry this, a million ways to hide this. It is very effective. And a lot of people will say, well, let me tell you something. And, you know, you guys comment. Tell me I'm wrong. A lot of police officers carry these. Some departments don't even want you carrying these, but they carry them anyway, all right? A lot of combat soldiers, a lot of people in harm's way, in violent environments, carry these. They find a way to hide one of these suckers in their boot, okay, in their shoe. Somewhere they can get to it in that scenario, in that, oh shit, I'm about to go out, what do I do now scenario. Oh shit, I'm struggling for my gun. The guy has got his hand on my gun. What do I do now? Okay, well, if I have two hands on my gun, and for a minute I could keep my gun in my holster with one and reach for this thing, well, I can cut the tendons on the inside of his wrist with this thing, and he's not going to be grabbing for my gun anymore. All right? Again, I'm not a knife fighting expert. I'm not really an expert on anything. I've made it my business to train in a lot of things and to get a lot of good information from a lot of good people. And I can tell you, this thing right here is a powerful tool. I mean, it's a powerful last-ditch tool, not to pull out in that shouting match at the pizzeria. No, that's not what this is about, okay? This is about that holy shit, I'm about to get kidnapped. I'm about to get raped. I'm about to get killed. This guy's about to take my kid. I'm about to get dragged into a van. Okay, I've got two guys on me and they're about to knock my ass out. I'm overwhelmed. I need an equalizer quick. This little thing right here is gold. Now, as far as to carry it around your neck, you'll notice that when I mount the clip to it, you can't really put the chain where it's supposed to be on these two. But that's okay, because you can put it on these two, and then you can interlock it behind the clip, and it'll still hang upside down the way it's supposed to, right? So you could still wear it around your neck, right? And the reason I make 4 holes is very simple, because if you're righty, you probably want to carry over here, but if you're lefty, you can just take those screws out, flip it around, and it'll tilt the other way, and you can carry it on your other side. So there it is, a quick video about this little sucker. It's a very useful tool. I'm not promoting violence, so calm the fuck down, YouTube, okay? I'm just providing information because we live in a violent world, and I've had people ask me, and this thing has made me feel a lot safer than I would have in certain situations had I not had it, okay? Especially situations where you can't carry a gun, you don't want to carry a gun. Even if you have a gun, pulling a gun out at that specific situation or moment would not be prudent. And yet you still feel threatened. You still feel like this guy, this person, these people could be on top of me in no time. You realize you have another resort, last ditch, that could back them off, that could make that moment of absolute despair back off for a minute, and then maybe you can go to a gun, you can go to something else to get control of the situation back. But this is the lost control of the situation, and I'm either gonna die or something bad's gonna happen, or I have to pull my parachute. And here's your parachute. Push daggers. Look them up online. I get my stuff from Blade HQ. This is a Cold Steel Urban Pal. There's a lot of them. Find one you like. I don't like them too big. I like them small. Too big defeats the purpose. I don't need a 6-inch blade or even a 4-inch blade. I'm not stabbing you with this. I'm slicing you with this. And there's plenty of martial arts people or trained people out there who can teach you the most effective way how to use this. So there you go. Food for thought. Thanks.